Hello, this is Angela from Natural Living Alchemy. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making another lacto-fermentation recipe, and this time featuring onions. Now, lacto-fermentation is not quite the same as pickling. Although I have seen some channels use this term interchangeably, they are quite different. Pickling involves pouring vinegar over the vegetable, in our case it's an onion, and then just letting it sit until the vegetable has absorbed all of the flavors. Now, although the acidity of the vinegar does preserve the vegetables, it doesn't actually contain any type of probiotic or live enzyme like fermentation does. This is because fermentation uses beneficial bacteria to consume the natural sugars that are present in the vegetable, converting them into alcohol, carbon dioxide, and acid. Then that is what helps preserve the vegetable. And it uses a combination of salt and water to promote the growth of beneficial bacteria called lactobacillus. I did do a video on a lacto-fermented zucchini relish that went into more detail about the lacto-fermentation process, and I will have that linked in the description box below this video in case you want to check it out. Some other things that you'll find in that description box while you're in there would be a link to the full written blog article that is meant to accompany this video, as well as some non-affiliate links to some products that I love that can just help you on your fermentation journey. The equipment that you're going to require would be a mandolin, something like this. If you do not have something like this, just a sharp knife will do. You're going to need a sterile mason jar. Now, I like to use these fermentation springs in mine. You can also get weights if that's what you want to use. So you want to make sure everything's nice and clean. And then you will just need your onions. We're going to need some water. We're going to need some salt. I'm going to be using whey in this recipe, as well as peppercorns and turmeric. But the peppercorns and the turmeric are completely optional, and they're just suggestions. But hey, you can totally customize this to however you want. So we are going to begin by preparing our onions. So what I like to do is we're going to take the skin off of them. Once you have all of your onions peeled, what I like to do, and this is optional, but I found it's a lot easier, is I just like to cut them in half like this. Because I'll tell you, it is a lot easier to fish these onion pieces out of the jar once they're fermented when they're kind of in little half moons as opposed to rings. But if you want to leave them in rings, you certainly can do that. Oops. Helps if you cut the onion the right way. Then you just want to take your bowl, and we are going to do these. So my mandolin actually has different sizes that you can choose. I'm doing the, well, it's on the third out of the 4 lines. So then we are just going to take our onions and we are just going to chop them on our mandolin. So then after the onions are just all in these nice little half moons, I like to just go in and just separate them. Okay, so once all of your onions are in here, I'm going to add some turmeric. And again, this is completely optional. Perfect. We are just going to move that out of the way. So now in your bowl, you're going to add some salt. So you do have a couple different options on how much salt you're going to add, and that depends on if you're going to be using whey or not. So if you are just going to be using salt, and I'm using Celtic Grey sea salt, I find this one works really, really well. You would want to use 2 tablespoons. But I'm going to be using whey with mine, and if you are curious on how to get your own whey out of milk kefir, I have a video coming up shortly showing you how to do that. Okay, so just subscribe now in case you don't want to miss that one. But if you are wanting to use whey, we're going to use 1 tablespoon of salt and 4 tablespoons of whey. If you don't want to use the whey, it's just 2 tablespoons of salt. Okay. Now what I am going to do is just kind of mix the salt in so it's kind of all over our onions and our turmeric. And I really just like to use my hands, but you could just definitely use a pair of tongs if you wanted to. And you will notice as you start to mix this up that the onions are starting to get a little bit wetter than what they were. That's just the salt drawing out the water from the onions. It's a good sign. So after everything is just nicely mixed in your bowl, you're just going to grab your jar. And I do like to use these funnels just to make it a little bit easier. And then you're just wanting to put your onions in your jar. And then as I'm filling, I like to take something like this. I can't remember what the heck it's called right now, but it is for making pickles. And you just want to push your onions to just compact them a little bit more into the jar. Once your onions are in your jar, you want to make sure that you fill it until there's about 1 to 2 inches of headspace at the top left over. Okay, I do have some extra onions left. I will just use those with the pork chops I'm going to cook for supper tonight. So we are going to add our other ingredients in now. So since I am using turmeric, and the reason that I wanted to use turmeric is for its inflammation modulating properties, as I have a lot of inflammation. Maybe you do too. I find turmeric definitely helps. But in order for curcumin, which is the phytochemical in the turmeric that we want that carries those inflammation modulating properties, we will need to add a little bit of black pepper. Because for some reason that I cannot remember off the top of my head, curcumin requires black pepper so it can become bioavailable. So I'm just going to throw in a tablespoon of peppercorns. And then we are going to require 4 tablespoons of whey. I very much apologize if you can hear my neighbor's dogs barking. It's sometimes hard to find a time to film these videos when next door is quiet, but I just hope that you bear with me and that it is not distracting you as much as it's distracting me. So, 4 tablespoons of whey. And then you're just going to want to put enough filtered water. I'm just using spring until everything is covered. Perfect. Then, if you're using one, you just want to add in your fermentation spring. Now, you have a couple of different things that you can also do at this point that I want to talk about so I don't forget. So, because there's a lot of peppercorns in here, because there's a lot of those little pieces of grated turmeric, and even just the small pieces of onion, you may find that they start to come above the liquid, and we want to make sure that we're always keeping everything submerged. So what you can do is just take a piece of lettuce, or you could, I find lettuce just doesn't change the flavor. You can also use what else could you use? You could use cabbage. Okay, just a piece of cabbage over top. You could use a piece of kind of just like your onion like this, that just to go over top, that's going to keep everything down. Be creative, however you want to do it, but you just want to make sure that everything is going to be below the surface. And then you just want to take your lid and put your lid on your jar. So I have a little kind of like airlock on the top of my jar lid. It just came with the set that I got. I don't have to really do anything. So if you just had a regular mason jar lid, you would want to just open it up and just burp it once a day. You don't necessarily need to take the lid all the way off, but you do want to burp it to get rid of some of that pressure. Now, I'm also going to suggest that when you are going to be doing that, to just do it over the sink, because sometimes we have this pressure built up. I went to go burp my fermentations the one day. I didn't do it in the sink. I opened the lid and I had everything all over my counter. Yeah, don't do that. It was really annoying to clean up. So just do it over the sink, or at least over something that is going to catch any liquid that may come out. So then what we're going to do is we're going to leave this to sit on our counter at room temperature, but out of direct sunlight, for 1 to 2 weeks. After the first week is over, you just want to try them. Take a little bit of onion out, see if you like it. If you want it a little bit stronger, if it's not fermented enough for your taste buds, let it go that other week. But yours may be done within that first 7 days. It really just depends on your preferences. Once everything is all fermented, you have the right flavor, you're happy with everything, then you would just remove your spring and put a regular mason jar lid on here, and then just put it in the refrigerator and eat as desired. Now we have reached the notes and substitutions portion of this video, where I tell you different ways that you can customize this and other things I find important. First off, you want to make sure that you are using good quality salt. I like Celtic gray sea salt, but as long as you are not using regular table salt, we do not want anything that is going to contain iodine. You could add different spices to your ferment. Maybe you didn't want turmeric. Maybe you were wanting to add some garlic in it instead, or okay, garlic's not really a spice, it's a vegetable, so you could also add garlic in here. But you could do coriander seeds, maybe you wanted to do some fennel, you could do dill seeds just to give it a little bit more of a dilly flavor. It is really, really up to you how you want to customize this. Now, another thing that you can do to customize it that I have done is maybe you want to add just a little bit of spice, and you could do that by adding a chopped up jalapeno or a Thai chili if you are feeling brave. But, and I did learn this the hard way, the fermentation process, in my experience, makes spicy things spicier. I once did it was just garlic, and I put some jalapenos in there, and then I found those cute little Thai chilies, because I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but I threw some of those in there too, and I'll tell you what, we couldn't even use the garlic, it was too hot. So maybe that's okay for you, but my taste buds are not that brave most days. So just know fermentation will make spicy things spicier. If you happen to notice a bit of a white film on the surface of your ferment, this is called comm yeast, and you just want to skim it off and just proceed. As long as there is no signs of mold below the surface of the brine, just remove it and proceed. It's okay. Now that we have our fermented onions, what do you do with them? Well, you have a bunch of different options. Sky's the limit here as well. So first off, enjoy them any way you already enjoy onions. You can put them on salads, in sandwiches, in stir fries. You could use them for the cooked portion or raw onion portion of any recipe. Now, one other thing that I like to do, it's a little bit different. I like to ferment meat with them. Now, okay, don't get it twisted. We're not eating some kind of rotten meat. That's not what it does. But it will make it more digestible. So it is a process that I learned when I was learning about the GAPS protocol, the gut and physiology or gut and psychology syndrome. It's the same diet, same protocol, just GAP stands for two different things. Okay. If this is something that you are wanting to learn how to do, comment down below and let me know, and I can make a video on it. But make sure you come back in 2 weeks' time where I am going to show you how to safely defrost milk kefir grains, and then I will show you how to get whey out of them. Now, defrosting the milk kefir grains is a follow-up video to one I did at the beginning of this year when I showed you how to freeze them. So be sure to check that video out too if you are interested. Don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video, and maybe share it with anyone else who you think might enjoy it. Consider subscribing to the channel so that we can spend more time together and that you don't miss future videos. But I just want to say thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you next time.